back in the spring of 1975, I bought an LP with the title Mountain Music Bluegrass Style at Opus 8, the main record store in my hometown of Skelleftea, Sweden. Not only was Opus 1 the main record store, as far as I can remember, it was the only record store in town. But anyway, the album was on the Folkways label, and as some of y'all probably still remember, Folkways often included these little really informative booklets about the music and the artists. And this album was like a compilation of field recordings done in the Washington, D.C. area in 1959. And a considerable lineup of talent was amassed for this recording. That was essentially a survey of the status of bluegrass music in urban America as the 1950s gave way for the eventful and swinging 60s. Some of the artists on this album was Mike Seeger, Pete Kuykendall, Earl Taylor, Walt Hensley, Smiley Hobbs, Don Stover, Tex Logan, and a young mandolin player from Siler City, North Carolina, by the name of Jerry Stuart. After I moved to the U.S. in 1986, I soon ended up finding myself around Buncombe and Madison counties, North Carolina. And one place I really fell in love with was the Bluegrass Center. It was a music store specialized in bluegrass, old-time, and blues recordings and instruments, located at Hendersonville Road in the Biltmore Village area of Asheville, North Carolina. The Bluegrass Center was owned and operated by a banjo-playing, limerick writing, photographer, and philosopher/Christian apologist, the late and great Clyde Franklin, a direct descendant of Benjamin Franklin's. The Bluegrass Center was the hub of bluegrass in western North Carolina and the rest of the world. We had guests dropping by from most states in the Union, plus from Canada, Japan, and several countries in Europe. So for a young man like myself in pursuit of the bluegrass, or in search of the well, so to speak, I couldn't have been at a better place. I cherished those days, and many other friends I made back in those days in western North Carolina I still stay in contact with whenever I get a chance. People like Ronnie Smith, Chris Sharp, Randy Burgess, Milton Harkey, Mike Ramsey, and Nick Chandler, just to name a few. Anyway, so back at the ranch, back to the Bluegrass Center. So this was like in 1987, and I was just hanging around the store, and one day this rather distinguished-looking gentleman came in the store and started browsing through our record albums. Soon we struck up a conversation, and it wasn't long before I realized that this gentleman was nobody but Jerry Stuart, the Jerry Stuart from the Mountain Music Bluegrass Style album. It turned out Jerry had just moved to Asheville from Siler City to work as the manager of a brick plant in nearby Arden, North Carolina. That was the beginning of a friendship that's lasted for going on 33 years now. I love hearing Jerry play his old Red, that Gibson that he purchased back around 1968. He's a great Monroe interpreter, and I have been fortunate to play with Jerry in many different settings over the years. What we're about to see is part of a workshop mini concert at Hopping John's old-time fiddlers convention at Shakori Hills near Silk Hope, North Carolina. In this, Jerry talks about his main influences in terms of mandolin playing, his dad and Bill Monroe. Jerry's 1937 birth coincided with the Monroe brothers relocating to Raleigh and WPTF, which stands for We Protect the Family. Jerry's grandmother was a big fan of the Monroe brothers, and she'd listen to them every day on the WPTF broadcast. Years later, after Jerry played her cassette tape of a rough mix of his first solo album with top shelf players like Bobby Hicks, Tom Gray, Tony Williamson. I can't think of any, but a real great, solid lineup. And when she heard that recording, she commented that Jerry's album sounded just as good as those boys on the radio. And of course she was talking about Charlie and Bill Monroe playing the farmers show there on WPTF. And I said that's a pretty good evaluation. So playing with Jerry is his student and our good friend AlexMeredith on mandolin, and you can also see yours truly on the guitar. One thing that's so special about this video is that it shows the cross-generational interaction that is possible thanks to our music. Alex is around 19, Jerry's in his 80s, and I am somewhere in between the two. Still, we can talk and relate to the same matters as we share a passion that spans across age groups, cultural and socioeconomic strata, and even language barriers. I hope you will enjoy this program as much as I did putting it together. If you'd be interested in supporting my mission to save the history of bluegrass music one live show at a time, you can do so by going to the following link. So www.patreon.com/join/acousticjohansson ?
That's the way my dad played, and that's how I first learned to play. And then he told me that if I really wanted to learn to play the mandolin right, I should listen to a guy named Bill Monroe. So I started buying 78 RPM records by Bill Monroe. And 78 RPM didn't have a half speed on the record player, so you couldn't slow it down to half speed like you could later, a 33 1/3. So I had to slow it down with my mind. If Bill played something like this, I had to try to figure out that that was really this. Okay, I mean, that's turkey in the straw, right? But that wasn't the way Bill sounded. So I took that first line where he went, and I hummed that. I couldn't play it very fast, but I practiced until I could, and I realized that I had to keep the pick moving. So the first thing I did was just said, well, I'll see if I can get this pick to moving. With this one, he's not making the pick continually go back and forth. He's playing more bluesy kind of sound and using predominantly downstrokes. So the pick is hitting time after time with the pick going down to give it power and persuasion. So what we're trying to get into this is the energy that he put on the record. So it goes sort of like this. Sort of patterned after what I learned from Bill Monroe. I wanted to play in that style, so I'll show you slow. I'll play it slow for you, and then show you how I tried to apply the right hand with the constant flow of notes. Basically, this style instead of striking the string when you want the note to sound like there, I'm striking the string either going up or down, but only when the note needs to sound. And if there's a space between the notes, a different space between the notes, then I just wait that long to hit the next note. That's typically what you do with the right hand. Monroe's approach was different. He approached it like it was a bow on a fiddle, and that the bow just kept going, and that the left hand moved when the notes needed to change. Instead of a bow, he made a steady stream of note at the tempo of the song. He might be playing 8 notes to the measure or 16 notes to the measure, depends on what the tune was and how many notes were required. So he would just sort of tempo like this. This next song is a song that I put together. It's a waltz. It's called a Waltz for Daddy. And what I had in mind was sometimes husbands aren't the best dancer, and the wife may love to dance, and they may go to a dance and the wife dances and the husband sits on the sideline. And then, so the idea behind this was the wife would go over to the fiddle player and say, play something pretty and slow. I want to get my husband up to dance. And so this is a song that I wrote thinking that it would suit the wife if the husband got up and danced this with her. It's called a Waltz for Daddy. This is I'm playing a couple of tunes here that I've written through the years. I never, you probably don't know who I am. I never made a living playing bluegrass music. I auditioned for the Stanley Brothers with Carter Stanley when I was in college and got the job, but I wasn't ready for the job at that point. Told him I wanted to finish school first, and by the time I got out of school, I realized I didn't have an automobile. I needed to work and make money and buy a car before I went on the road playing. And then life came along, and I found a beautiful lady and got married, and children came along. And they started featuring a lead guitar for a while instead of a mandolin, and didn't really need a mandolin player. So I never really got around to going on the road. I worked as an engineer, which is what I was trained to do. That's what I went to school for, and supported my family. But I played along the way and played in bands, and was lucky enough to play on festivals and to get to record and to play on the Grand Ole Opry. Old Red here's been played on the stage by Bill Monroe. Been played on the stage with Ricky Skaggs. Old Red's been around too. Of course, I was there. I mean, you know. Anyway, this is a tune called Stormy Night. How it is thundering and lightning outside the road. Guitar on it just wakes me up, makes me want to play it, you know. Yeah, it's called McKinley's March. Years ago, I was chopping rhythm on the mandolin, and I thought, well, most of y'all here are musicians, and I thought, well, you know, you've got Earl Scruggs that has a tune called Foggy Mountain Breakdown, and it's in G and it goes to E minor. So I had the idea, well, if I started in that E minor chord and then went to G, C, and D, wonder how that'd be, and then just kept coming back to that E minor chord. Well, I actually didn't do it in G. I moved it up 2 frets and did it out of a position, so it made the minor F sharp minor. So this tune is called Galax. It's in the key of F sharp minor. That's impressive sounding, isn't it? I mean, it's just E minor moved up 2 frets, but it sounds impressive. This is a tune called Rocky Run that I had the opportunity to record on Folkways back in 1959, and it's still available, as a matter of fact. It's now owned by the Smithsonian Institute and is offered on a couple of CDs that they have for sale. One is Mountain Music Bluegrass Style, and the other one is Classic Bluegrass #2. And this tune is on both of those CDs. So I'm sort of proud of the fact that the Smithsonian Institute has something that I came up with for sale, you know. I told a friend of mine one time that was a barber, well, he's still a barber, and he was in the first band that I had when we were just kids and went to the radio station the first time. Reed was in the band, and I went by to see Reed to get a haircut, and this CD had come out and it issued on the Smithsonian label. And so I told Reed, I said, I just can't believe, you know, that I'm in the Smithsonian Institute. And Reed said, I've known for years you needed to be in an institution. Okay, this is called Rocky Run. Thank you. Thank you very much.